What if I told you that in 2025, mainstream online stores still list gadgets that cross a blurred line between useful and unlawful? These items are advertised as novelties, security tools, or hobbyist gear, but many are frequently misused, lead to privacy violations, or create public safety problems. This video is not an instruction manual, it's a heads up. We'll describe 30 devices you can still purchase, explain why they worry regulators and law enforcement, and highlight the legal and ethical risks of ownership and misuse. Buying something doesn't make it legal to use. Know the law. Respect privacy. Stay safe. Uniden Bearcat Police Scanner. A compact handheld receiver that picks up local police, fire, and emergency transmissions. Hobbyists and aviation fans buy scanners to follow weather alerts or public safety communications. But using one to monitor active police movements or to evade officers is illegal in many places. Some jurisdictions restrict possession or operation of scanners while in a vehicle. The device itself is neutral. The risk comes from intent and misuse. Courts and police treat evidence of using a scanner during crimes as aggravating. If you have one, use it responsibly for permitted listening and never to facilitate wrongdoing. Flamethrower-Style roofing torch. Sold under roofing, landscaping, or novelty categories, these propane torches generate long, intense flames. They are marketed for industrial tasks such as sealing, roofing membranes, or removing weeds, yet their heat, flame length, and ease of misuse have led many municipalities to restrict or ban them. Accidental fires and viral stunt videos forced several cities to issue public warnings. Transporting or using one without required permits can violate local fire codes. Treat these as industrial equipment and obey local regulations. They are not toys, and their misuse endangers people and property. Hidden power outlet camera. A wall socket that contains a discrete camera and microphone behind its faceplate. It blends into a room and records without obvious indication, which is why landlords and hosts have faced prosecution for secret surveillance. Recording private spaces without consent violates wiretapping and voyeurism laws in many countries. Even owners of a property can face civil liability for non-consensual recording of guests or tenants. If you need security monitoring, choose visible, consented systems and comply with local notice and privacy requirements. High-power mini spotting scope. Pocket-sized optics labeled for birding or stargazing, but capable of high magnification. Some small scopes deliver clarity and range that approach restricted or export-controlled models. In practice, they can easily be used to observe private property or people at a distance, creating clear privacy concerns. Using optics to spy on neighbors, enter private spaces visually, or capture identifying detail across property lines can trigger stalking or voyeurism laws. Powerful lenses have legitimate uses. Respect people's reasonable expectation of privacy when pointing them close to homes. Covert Key-Fob camera. A car remote replica that houses a tiny camera and microphone. Private investigators may use such tools under professional rules, but casual or secret filming with them frequently violates consent laws. Hidden audiovisual recording devices in public restrooms, locker rooms, rentals, or workplaces often lead to criminal charges and civil suits. Even if an item is sold for security, its covert nature can make it illegal to deploy. If you have concerns about safety, document and use transparent security options that give notice to those recorded. RFID, NFC cloning reader. Handheld readers that can read and emulate contactless access cards and tokens. Security teams use these devices ethically to test systems, but they're also used to clone hotel keys and employee badges. Unauthorized duplication or use of access credentials is a criminal offense in many jurisdictions. Possessing such a tool near restricted facilities can be construed as intent to commit fraud. Professionals restrict use to authorized testing and written permission. Hobbyists should avoid experimenting on cards they do not own. Magnetic security tag remover. Strong neodymium magnets designed to detach retail anti-theft tags. While legitimate for store use, these magnets are commonly purchased by shoplifters to remove tags and steal merchandise without detection. Carrying one near retail stock or concealing it can be considered possession of burglary tools. Law enforcement treats visible possession during suspicious activity as strong evidence of criminal intent. If you work in retail, obtain tools through proper channels. Otherwise, don't buy a magnet that invites wrongdoing. Wall acoustic listening device. a gadget that amplifies vibrations through walls or pipes to capture sound from adjacent rooms. Manufacturers market similar devices for industrial inspection, but the sound pickup capability makes them effective eavesdropping tools. Intercepting private conversations without consent is illegal under wiretap statutes in many areas. Possession of listening devices in the context of surveillance can bring criminal charges. Use acoustic testing gear only with contracts, permits, and transparency not to invade private communications. Overpowered laser pointer. Handheld lasers advertised for astronomy but outputting far above safe limits. High output pointers can cause instant, permanent eye injury and have been used to distract or dazzle pilots and drivers. Pointing a laser at an aircraft or emergency responder is considered a serious federal offense in many countries. Sellers sometimes mislabel devices to circumvent regulations, creating additional risk for buyers. Treat any high-power laser as regulated industrial equipment. Misuse can lead to severe civil and criminal consequences. Software-defined radio (SDR) dongle. A USB receiver that, paired with software, can tune into a broad spectrum of radio frequencies. SDRs are powerful learning tools for hobbyists and researchers, but they can also receive protected or encrypted communications if misused. Interception of private, encrypted, or governed channels can violate communications laws and privacy protections. The device facilitates exploration of radio, but its legality depends on what you receive and how you use it. Operators should stay within authorized bands and never decode signals they are not permitted to access. Keyless Entry Relay Amplifier. A kit that captures and retransmits signals from keyless car fobs to unlock nearby vehicles. These relay attacks are now a common technique for stealing modern cars without physical forced entry. Sellers may advertise them for diagnostics, but law enforcement views them as car theft tools. Possession near parked vehicles can prompt suspicion and investigation. To protect vehicles, owners should use signal blocking pouches and manufacturer guidance rather than experimenting with devices that facilitate theft. Replica Firearm Lighter. A lighter molded to look like a handgun or pistol. At a distance, these novelties can be mistaken for real weapons, provoking dangerous responses from police or the public. Brandishing such an object in public can result in authorities treating it as an actual firearm, with potentially tragic outcomes. Many public places and transport hubs treat imitation guns as prohibited items. A replica makes for a poor joke when it invites real-world threats. Advanced Night Vision Scope. High-sensitivity optics designed to reveal detail in very low light or total darkness. Search and rescue and licensed professionals use them legitimately, but advanced models may require export licenses or special authorization. Using night optics for clandestine observation, trespass, or poaching is unlawful and can prompt federal attention. Ownership in some countries carries restrictions, and shipping across borders without documentation may violate arms control statutes. If you require such equipment professionally, secure proper certification and approvals. Malicious USB Cable. A cable that appears normal but contains electronics that can deliver malware or remote access payloads when plugged in. Penetration testers sometimes use such tools in controlled security audits. Adversaries use them to compromise systems. Connecting unknown peripherals in sensitive environments risks data theft and legal exposure. Operating with untrusted cables in workplaces or public terminals can also harm others. Treat every third-party cable as potentially unsafe and follow security best practices for hardware hygiene. Compact Thermal Imager. Portable cameras that visualize heat signatures, revealing people, animals, and machinery through smoke, darkness, or light foliage. They're invaluable for inspections and rescue operations, but they can also reveal the presence and activity of people behind walls or vegetation when misused. Some advanced units are regulated due to surveillance potential. Using thermal imagers to invade privacy or plan unlawful entry is prosecutable. Professionals operate with permits. Private owners should be mindful of privacy implications. Spy camera glasses. Sunglasses or frames with a tiny embedded camera that records first-person footage without an obvious indicator. They serve creators and reporters well, but in locker rooms, bathrooms, and private meetings, they become tools of covert recording. Venue policies have increasingly banned wearable cameras that lack visible recording lights or consent signage. Secretly filming individuals in private settings is illegal in many jurisdictions and exposes operators to severe penalties. When filming people, favor transparency and consent. Electric Lockpick Gun. a motorized tool that manipulates common pin locks with speed and minimal technique. Used by licensed locksmiths and professionals, the same tool in unlicensed hands is often classified as evidence of intent to commit burglary. Police treat possession in suspicious contexts as strong probable cause. Even demonstrating such a tool in unauthorized places risks arrest. If you need locksmith services, consult professionals and avoid acquiring tools that remove lawful barriers to entry. Universal Handcuff Key, a small key capable of opening many standard restraint models. Stage performers and some lawful personnel use them for legitimate purposes, but in detention or escape scenarios, they are viewed as evasion devices. Carrying one without clear, lawful reason can arouse immediate suspicion during police encounters. Possession found during searches often leads to enhanced scrutiny or charges. If your work requires access, carry clear credentials and documentation. Real-time voice changer. Hardware or software that alters pitch, tone, and timbre in live calls or recordings. For content creation and accessibility, it has value, yet criminals can use voice alteration to impersonate family members, institutions, or officials in social engineering frauds. Using this tech to deceive or defraud constitutes criminal impersonation or identity-based fraud. Ethical creators disclose altered audio and avoid misrepresenting real people. Misuse invites serious legal consequences. Concealed blade ring. A piece of jewelry containing a small concealed blade inside the band. Manufacturers market them for self-defense, but many jurisdictions classify concealed blades as weapons. Carrying such an item into airports, schools, or government buildings can result in arrest and weapons charges. Accidental self-injury is also common with tiny concealed blades. If personal safety is a concern, select legal and clearly labeled options that do not expose you to criminal liability. Modified long-range drone. A consumer drone upgraded with larger batteries, stronger radios, or quieter propellers to exceed manufacturer-stated limits. These mods can extend range, flight time, and payload capacity, but also remove safety restrictions, geofencing, and altitude limits. Modified drones are often used in illicit surveillance, smuggling, or interfering with emergency operations. Aviation authorities impose heavy fines and may pursue criminal charges for reckless or illegal flights. Keep drones within manufacturer guidelines and airspace regulations at all times. Flame-throwing exhaust kit. Aftermarket devices that inject fuel into the exhaust system to create visible flames during deceleration or ignition. They produce dramatic video content, but they also present clear fire, emissions, and safety violations. Many jurisdictions ban such modifications on public roads, and insurance policies typically exclude coverage for deliberate hazardous alterations. Using them in public risks property damage, bodily harm, and legal consequences. Vehicle spectacle should never override public safety. Stun gun phone case. A phone accessory built with a hidden electroshock device intended for self-defense. Despite the marketing appeal, many regions treat concealed electroshock modules as weapons and prohibit their carry in public places and transit hubs. Concealing a weapon in a commonly carried object increases legal penalties when possession is discovered. If you want personal protection devices, choose legal, openly marked options and check local rules about possession and transport. GPS tracker for unconsented monitoring. Small, battery-powered devices that report real-time location when attached to vehicles or objects. They serve asset tracking legitimately, but placing one on another person's vehicle or belongings without explicit permission is a form of stalking or harassment in many jurisdictions. Courts and police prosecute non-consensual tracking more frequently as domestic abuse and privacy laws evolve. Use trackers only on property you own or with written permission from the tracked party. 6. Police-style LED light bar. Replica red and blue flashing lights and sirens that mimic official emergency vehicles. Using them on a private vehicle to influence traffic or gain access is impersonation of an officer and typically a felony. Even possession or display in suspicious circumstances draws immediate law enforcement attention. The authority those lights convey makes misuse dangerous for both the impersonator and the public. Don't equip a civilian vehicle with anything that simulates official emergency gear. Everyday object spy cameras. Cameras hidden inside ordinary items record video, sometimes audio, while remaining visually undetectable. Hosts and property managers who have installed hidden recording gear without disclosure face criminal charges and large civil judgments. The difference between security and surveillance is notice and consent. Visible systems and clear disclosure are typically lawful. Concealed recording frequently is not. If you need monitoring, use clearly indicated surveillance solutions and follow local privacy laws. High-intensity green strobe or laser. Bright green lasers and strobes meant for signaling can cause temporary blindness and interfere with aviation sensors. Pointing a laser at aircraft or into cockpit corridors is a federal safety offense in many countries and carries steep penalties. Even on the ground, disorienting drivers or emergency personnel endangers lives. These lights are not toys. They are regulated for public safety reasons. Choose safe signaling tools with proper power and approvals. Electric shock ring. A ring designed to deliver an electric jolt as a prank or defense device. These items can cause pain, burns, or nerve damage, and some models exceed safe voltage levels. Jurisdictions increasingly classify them as prohibited electroshock weapons, and malicious use can become assault. Pranks that physically harm someone have legal consequences beyond embarrassment. If you value safety, avoid devices that inflict shock. Overpowered drone modification kit. Hardware or firmware hacks that remove geofencing, altitude, or speed limits established by manufacturers. They allow drones to operate beyond intended safety margins, creating risks to aircraft, emergency responders, and people on the ground. Regulatory bodies penalize flights that endanger public safety, and modified drones are often seized and banned from further operation. Respect manufacturer constraints and local aviation regulations. Upgrades that compromise safety invite serious legal response. Magnetic micro earpiece. A tiny wireless earpiece that fits deep inside the ear canal and receives audio from a hidden transmitter. Used in exam cheating scandals and covert communication schemes, these devices are explicitly banned in testing centers, auditions, and secure environments. Detection technologies can now identify them rapidly, and consequences include lifelong disqualification, academic expulsion, and prosecution. The device's minuscule size masks enormous reputational and legal risk. Don't let a tiny gadget ruin a life. That's 30 devices that remain available online but raise serious legal, ethical, and safety questions. Many of these products have legitimate professional uses in regulated contexts. The problem is simple. When tools designed for experts fall into casual hands, they become risks. Before you buy, ask 2 questions. Is it legal to own in my jurisdiction? And is it ethical to use around people who haven't agreed to be recorded or observed? If the answers aren't clear, don't buy. Curiosity drives discovery, but responsibility keeps you out of trouble. If this video changed how you look at online gadgets, subscribe for more careful tech coverage. Stay smart and stay lawful.